I don't really care about restaurants or something like that, because that's your business. That is your business. That's your property. You can decide whether or not to have a smoking, non-smoking, or
all or nothing.
All or nothing. It's all smoking or no smoking. I don't really care. That's your business. But I mean, this comes from the personal or the local level. This doesn't come from the top down. And I believe that this is a personal choice that you make. Hello everyone, my name is JD.
And this is Logan.
And this is the WireTap, brought to you by the Conservative Wire. And today what we're going to do is we are going to address the vaping ban. It came down late this week. Thursday, Friday-ish is whenever this got announced. And we want to address how we as conservatives should respond to it. And this is an article from USA Today. Entitled, Trump Moves to Ban Flavored Vaping Products to Discourage Young People from E-Cigarettes. Now, I want you to notice that last portion of that headline, to discourage young people. Goes on and says, President Donald Trump said Wednesday he will seek to ban the sale of flavored vaping products in an effort to get young people to give up the potential dangers of e-cigarettes. Now, what this does not do is it does not affect those e-cigarette products that are flavored like tobacco. It is the ones that are flavored like, Tootsie Rolls and Jolly Ranchers and all that kind of stuff. That is what this affects. And Trump said after a White House meeting with health policy advisors that it's causing a lot of problems and we're going to have to do something about it. There have been deaths and there have been a lot of other problems. The FDA will soon issue guidance on how to take flavored vaping products off the market, said Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar, a process that could take weeks or months. The FDA said in a statement that it would soon release details on a policy that aims to remove unauthorized flavored e-cigarette products from the market. So
there's a lot to break down with this story.
There's a lot of angles to take on this, and this is honestly not something that I really saw coming, because there was no hinting at this.
No.
In previous passing, this really came out of nowhere. I had heard something and I didn't follow up on it. I didn't look into it more, but I had heard that this was kind of something that Melania was pushing for. I don't know if that's true or not. I had just seen that while I was looking at Twitter, so I'm not sure if that's true.
Yeah.
But it does seem kind of strange because I've never heard about this at any other time from anyone else within the White House or the administration. This really just came out of nowhere. And there's a second article from USA Today which expounds upon this a little bit, and it gets the perspective from experts, and it talks about experts' reaction to this. And it says President Trump's proposed ban of electronic cigarettes with anything but a tobacco flavor could kill a big part of the vape store business, but it may have limited impact on curbing use by young people who already flavor their own cartridges with readily available and attractive dessert tastes, industry experts say. Pardon me. And it says that FDA Commissioner Dr. Scott Gottlieb said last year, proposed restricting flavored e-liquids to vape stores that are age restrictive, but that Trump's move would go much further. And much of this is, Gottlieb says, before I get to that, he told USA Today on Thursday that the deaths and illnesses and teen vaping concerns have been conflated and calls them separate actions and separate public health concerns. Pardon me. On CNBC Monday, Gottlieb called for a federal reckoning in the regulation of cannabis due to its link to most of the reported lung illnesses and deaths. Department of Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar again said this week that new data shows about a quarter of high school teens vaped in the last 30 days, which is up from 20% last year. So the concern over this. It's reasonable.
It's a reasonable
It's a reasonable concern, but this is not the action that you take, because what you're doing is you're just blanket banning these products. You're blanket banning these flavors and everything like that from the market altogether, because there are a quarter of teens in high school who vape and who use these products. You don't. I feel like that there is such a connection here, and in order to be consistent, you can look at the gun debate, but you can also look at this debate, and it's kind of the same thing, but the roles are reversed here.
Yeah.
Or at least the right has gone the way of the left on this, or not really the right, because a lot of conservatives don't like this.
Yeah.
A lot of conservatives, at least that I've seen, the true conservatives, the not the Fox News conservative types, the true conservatives don't like this. They don't like this action. They don't vape. I don't vape. None of us vape here. But it's about principle. It's about the principle of you can make your own decision and your own mistakes. That's why I don't like whenever you have these campaigns for making smoking tobacco cigarettes illegal in public places and all that kind of stuff. I don't really care about restaurants or something like that, because that's your business. That is your business. That's your property. You can decide whether or not to have a smoking, non-smoking, or
all or nothing.
All or nothing. It's all smoking or no smoking. I don't really care. That's your business. But this comes from the personal or the local level. This doesn't come from the top down. And I believe that this is a personal choice that you make.
And I disagree with the blanket banning of smoking or the blanket banning of the e-cigarette flavors. I agree that, there's so much public information out on such cigarettes.
Yeah, because
it's a risk that you weigh.
This is still relatively new.
Now, with the vaping, it's very new, and I think that is why this, in a way, is such a knee-jerk reaction to all of the events that have taken place. You've had 6 deaths here within the last few months, seizures, lung issues. You're seeing, I think, a knee-jerk reaction.
This is from Fox Business. Flavored e-cigarette ban is overreaching, vape shop owners say. This is from James Legate. Vape shop owners are worried a Trump administration proposal to ban all non-tobacco flavors of e-cigarettes could kneecap the $6 billion a year industry. The FDA is currently finalizing new rules that would ban fruity flavors as well as flavors like mint and menthol and remove them from the market within 30 days. The proposed ban comes amid accusations that e-cigarette makers have marketed to underage customers, as well as concerns about 450 cases of lung illnesses and 6 deaths the CDC is investigating for possible connections to vaping. This is another quote from Trump. We are looking at vaping very strongly. It's very dangerous. Children have died. People have died. We're going to have some very strong rules, regulations, and more important, I think we're going to have some very important information come out very shortly, and we'll be reporting that over the next couple of weeks.
I feel like this is going to hurt people more than it's going to help people.
Oh, you
yes. Talked about
the people who are in the business. Yes.
Well, not only that, just regular people that use it, because you saw that one guy was talking, one of the experts in your previous article, about how people are flavoring them themselves.
Yeah.
So people can still just get the tobacco pods and just flavor it themselves. You're back to a prohibition era to where people are making their own alcohol. Yeah, and more people are dying of alcohol poisoning.
Yeah, you're making your own stuff. Or what's the other alternative? You go to normal cigarettes?
Yeah.
The next paragraph here in this Fox article says, vape shop owners who spoke to Fox Business estimated that flavored e-cigarette cartridges, commonly called, vape juice, account for somewhere between 85 and 95% of their sales. Which, I mean, it makes sense because...
It's like having a gun and the bullets.
Yeah, exactly. It's like gun and bullets. And you don't need to buy your pen, your vape pen every time. You need to buy the juice to fill it up with. And it'll be interesting to see how this goes. Because in the past, there have been tactics used by, legislators to restrict gun use and all that kind of stuff. In their mind, since they couldn't get gun control, they went through other channels and they would do restrictions on the amount of ammunition you can buy at one time, which those, are still in place. You can only buy so much ammunition, all this kind of stuff. It'll be interesting to see if that does not start creeping its way into this as well, to where you can only buy so many milliliters of your vape juice at one time. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't understand why this is being treated so differently than smoking. And that article said from Fox that there have been 6 deaths and 450 cases of some sort of lung illness. A quick Google search. First result from the CDC. Smoking tobacco cigarettes is responsible for more than 480,000 deaths per year, which equates to about 1,300 deaths per day. Now, we freak out about gun control. I mean, they manufacture statistics about that anyway. They say, oh, well, this is how many mass shootings happen every day here in America, which that's total bullcrap. But 1,300 people die every day, on average, from smoking-related, condition, from a smoking-related condition, and lung damage, all that kind of stuff.
As the years go on, you'll see those numbers drop because it's largely older people.
Yeah, the older generation largely are the ones who smoke like this. And the younger generation, though, are still smoking, but they're just smoking something different. And it will be really interesting, or it would have been really interesting, depending on how this goes. I feel like this is going to be something that might not stand. I feel like that this is going to be something that is going to have to be manipulated in some great way to where its original purpose is not reached whatsoever. Its original purpose is, at this point, negligible because it's had to been nerfed and neutered so much.
So
there's no point. Yeah, basically, like everything else that the government tries to do. I feel that this is going to have to be backtracked.
Significantly.
But, I mean, young people are still smoking in these large numbers, but they're just changing. And it would be really interesting to see how your cigarette manufacturers would have to adapt to that change. Because your younger generation is not smoking Marlboros like their dad did. They're smoking vape. I mean they're vaping. They have the vape juice and everything. Their pens, all that kind of stuff. That's what they're primarily using.
And unrelated,
whenever they do this,
cocaine is making a comeback.
But that's that. I mean that's what they're using, and it would be interesting to see how that adjustment would have to be made. But this is just the totally wrong way to go about this. But the basis for this is 6 deaths and 480 cases of some sort of lung-related disease suspected to be brought about by vaping.
And those have all just happened.
Yeah.
Very recently. There's a lot of room for error to see what happened to these people.
And we've been tracking smoking for a long time. So, I mean, we kind of know what to expect here, and any surprises we have been able to work through. So that's how we come to this number, which we feel pretty confident in. We have these reports from the government, 1,300 people per day. We have 6 die And I don't think that this has been confirmed, of course. This is suspected.
You're kind of just
that
tying
it's
a
coming.
red string of speculation between these people.
Between these 6 deaths and vaping. Do I think that there's potentially harmful effects from vaping? Probably. I mean, probably. It's not like, just sucking on a Jolly Rancher or a Tootsie Pop or something. I mean, it is full of nicotine.
Some of the doctors have come out and said that for a lot of these things, it can be young people that have never smoked. So they haven't adapted to the nicotine, and vape pods have so much nicotine in it.
And more nicotine than a cigarette.
It's almost like an overdose on nicotine.
Yeah.
Which is plausible.
I mean, is this harmful? Probably. But, I mean, there's really not enough research either way to make any sort of, conclusive, argument about this as to how harmful it is. But what should your position be? I don't know. Maybe until you figure, maybe until you have evidence, maybe you just abstain from it. I mean, that's the intelligent thing to do.
Yeah.
I mean, that requires self-control, which I know is in short order these days. But maybe you just don't smoke it because you don't know what it does. I don't know.
You have all the evidence of smoking, and we still haven't banned that.
But, yeah, exactly. And you don't just ban it. You don't do something like this. It's just not, it's not what we do. It's not how conservatives operate. If like I said before, if we flip this and this was guns, I feel like that there's such a great similarity here between guns and this, because it kind of has that same component and the same potential for attempts at restricting it as guns. And I think that this is just such a dumb hill to die on. I think it is such a stupid waste of our time and our resources.
Yeah.
I'm not defending this one. I mean, quite honestly, I'm not defending this one. This is dumb. This is a dumb waste of time. And quite honestly, I don't know whose idea this was. I don't know where this came from, but it's stupid. It is a dumb hill to die on. Now, I would not be opposed, as was mentioned in one of these articles, to what was previously talked about and what was previously discussed, restricting the sales of the flavored juice or whatever to age-restricted stores. I wouldn't be opposed to that, because you have to be 18 to buy a pack of cigarettes anyway. Mm-hmm. So I would not be opposed to restricting those sales to the more mature market. I wouldn't be opposed to that. But this is just a stupid way to go about this. This is just a dumb way. And the reason why you don't see this with tobacco is because we've had this fight before. And ultimately, tobacco is still here. Tobacco's still here.
Yeah.
We've had this fight. And that's kind of a fight that has just faded away, because it's obvious it's not going to be won for a long time. I mean, it's not going to be won overnight. It'll eventually just be won by people not using it anymore.
Yeah. This was it was so out of the blue, because you even look at all of the people and all of the teenagers that die every year of drinking alcohol and getting into an accident. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you have so many stories of teenagers overdosing on opioids, cocaine, methamphetamine. You have so many different drugs and things. Stupid teenagers do these things. It's happened for years, and yet you haven't banned that. And now you've had these isolated cases of deaths with vaping, and you immediately jump on this wagon to ban them.
Yeah, here's the quote. The FDA Commissioner, Dr. Scott Gottlieb, last year proposed restricting flavored e-liquids to vape stores that are age-restricted. Which, I'm not really totally sure what that entails, but I would have thought that vape liquid would only be sold at age-restricted vape stores anyway. But I guess some vape stores are not age restricted. If you kind of look at the way that it reads, it makes it sound like that some vape stores are not age restricted.
I thought they all were.
Which doesn't make sense to me because I thought that you couldn't do it unless you were of age.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, that's weird to me. But 18 is the age for cigarettes. Vapes, I think, should be 18 as well, and that should be kind of it. You can make your own decision.
Yeah.
You know, you're not obligated if you go into the hospital and you've had some sort of massive heart attack, and in order to prevent this, they want to put, stents in or something. They want to have to do a procedure on you to prevent this. And if you don't, chances are it's going to happen again and very soon, and it could be bigger and more fatal. You do not have to accept that treatment. They cannot force you to have that procedure. And if in 2 weeks you have another major heart attack and it kills you, that's your decision. You don't have, you don't have to accept that. And you don't have to vape, or you can vape. You have a choice there.
Yeah.
You have a choice, like with your medical stuff. You can choose whether or not to have the procedure. You can choose whether or not to vape. But that's not for government to decide. I mean, how many of us would honestly be comfortable with a doctor forcing you? No, you have to have this surgery. You have to do this. That person has to stay on life support. You can't pull the plug. They have to. It's the same kind of thing. You have the choice to do what you're with yourself what you want. As conservatives, we believe that. As long as you are not harming, as Thomas Jefferson put it, what neither picks my pocket nor breaks my leg, that same principle applies. As long as you're not harming adversely other people or infringing on their rights, go for it.
Yeah.
Go for it. That's what we believe.
The greatest thing out of this entire debate is how you have seen articles from Vice, New York Times, Vox, The Atlantic, all saying banning things does not work throughout history. And they literally all have articles
on how bans don't work.
Yes, laying out basically free market principles
exactly.
to oppose the vape ban.
The media is only conservative. And what I mean by conservatives is not just our conservative, but in terms of believing in capitalism and free market principles and the Constitution and individual liberty, whenever things that they like are in jeopardy of being taken away. That's the only time. Now, if it's anybody else's, that's a different story. If it's guns, what are you talking about? That's a gun! Here, get up off the table and shoot me in the face! But you touch the vapes. Oh, no. Oh, no. We need free market principles here. What about individual liberty? What happened to our liberties and our freedoms and our rights? That's what they do. That's what this is. But this is this is the dumbest way to go about this. And I'm not going to waste my time defending it. It is not defendable. I don't think that this is able to be defended if you're a true conservative.
No.
This is not a hill for us to die on. Don't die on this hill. On your social media, on your Twitter, on your Facebook, in your social media chats, don't die on this hill. Don't die on this hill.
I think
if you're a diehard Trump supporter, then you know what? That's your problem. Because I don't follow people. I am not an ideologue or an apologist for people or parties or anything. I look at principles. What are principles? Because if you root yourself in principle, if you root yourself in truth, and then go from there and base your ideology on principle, you can be consistent. But if you're looking at institutions, parties, people, policies, those are all made by man and therefore fallible. They are therefore subject to mistake. But if you look at principle, time-tested principle, you will be much better off and you can actually be consistent. So if you're a Trump ideologue, you're gonna have to bite the bullet on this one. There's just no way around it. Because this is a bad policy. This is a bad thing. This is stupid. And it has so much more potential on being abused in the future.
It's a precedent you set.
And that's exactly right. And we want to thank you all for joining us on this edition of the WireTap. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow us down there. Whatever medium you're on, SoundCloud or YouTube, we want to thank you all so much for being with us today. So for Logan, I am JD. Goodbye, God bless, and we will see you in the next episode.